Indian government, particularly Modi administration, is not still ready to admit any of its failure in India-Pakistan conflict.
Leveling baseless allegations against Pakistan and trying to build a narrative which is totally farcical and totally unproductive and does not augur well for peace.
Why Indian Prime Minister or the government is hiding the facts about this war at a time when these facts are already open before the world?
As I said, touted Air Force with Rafales and Su-31s and the best technology the West has to offer and Russia has to offer at their disposal. So they miscalculated the resolve of Pakistan, the technological and technical and tactical and brilliance of Pakistani armed forces, in particular Pakistan Air Force. There has been a total and utter defeat of the Indian armed forces, which were branded as one of the best in the world. So they didn't count on that.
How you see these growing contacts between Pakistan and United States, where Pakistan strongly, effectively presented its narrative on India-Pakistan issues and India-Pakistan conflict?
We have our strategic interests vis-a-vis America. America remains one of our leading trade partners. We have a commonality of interest on countering terrorism. We have commonality of interest in pursuing our agenda vis-a-vis Kashmir and a number of other issues. Pakistan diplomacy can be very proud of their achievements for the past 2-3 months.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello and welcome to Program Insight in V News English. Dear viewers, a very, very important development that the government of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi came under fire in Indian Parliament on Operation Sindoor because Indian government did not share some of the facts. Indian government did not take into confidence the Indian Parliament on Operation Sindoor, rather made some misleading statements before Parliament. Most important thing was Rahul Gandhi's statement. Rahul Gandhi, the opposition leader in Indian Parliament, asked Mr. Modi that if American President Donald Trump is lying about Operation Sindoor and India-Pakistan conflict, then Mr. Modi, if he had the courage, then he should say it on the floor of the House in Indian Parliament. So this was after a couple of months that Operation Sindoor debate was initiated in Indian Parliament. An Indian Defense Minister who has been on the forefront, he even did not admit the mistakes. He even did not admit that Pakistan Air Force shot down 6 of the Indian Air Force fighter jets, including one drone. So the Rajnath Singh made it clear before Indian Parliament that Operation Sindoor was closed without any external pressure, and it was closed after achieving all objectives. What India wanted to achieve it at a time when there are cracks within Indian Parliament, within Indian leadership, and opposition is now asking Modi that if he doesn't share facts before Parliament, he should resign or step down. So to discuss this all, and these all things which are happening in Indian Parliament, it's basically vindication of Pakistan. However, the government leaders, including Defense Minister and other leaders, leveled baseless allegation against Pakistan, which Pakistan, short while ago, strongly responded and denied these all allegations. To discuss this all, we are fortunate to have with us senior analyst, former president of Islamabad Policy Research Institute, former ambassador, Admiral retired Hashman bin Saddique. Very warm welcome to Program Insight in V News English, Admiral Hasham Saab.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. So it was all what happened between 6th and 7th of May. Then finally on 10th of May this year, when Pakistan gave a befitting response to Indian unprovoked aggression against Pakistan. What India claimed, and this is what India said before Indian Parliament, Indian government, that there were certain targets in Pakistan which were hit, and these targets were of militants. Instead of this, that there were some militant targets, it turned out to be all civilian casualties in Pakistan. So Pakistan on 10th of May responded very strongly, and Pakistan Air Force shot down more than 6 fighter jets of Indian Air Force, including 1 drone. So, Admiral Hisham Saab, the question is, Indian government, particularly Modi administration, is not still ready to admit any of its failure in India-Pakistan conflict. What they called in their Operation Sindoor, and it was Pakistan Air Force, Pakistan's military operation that was witnessed by the whole world.
Thank you much for the invitation. I think we need to understand what was the situation between vis-a-vis India and Pakistan prior 6th May, and what happened between 6th and 10th of May, and the situation that emerged after 10th of May. In my personal opinion, I think in the overall context, if I can use the term, that it has been a major strategic embarrassment for India. And post 10th, Pakistan has emerged as a newfound and a very vibrant member of the international community, and particularly what I term that we have strategic rebirth of our nation, and rightfully we have occupied our place, the rightful place in the Committee of Nation post 10th of May. So we have this strategic opportunity which we need to cash on. So having said that, we need to analyze the Operation Sindoor and Operation Binyanul Marsoos in 2-3 facets, in my personal opinion. One is the internal dynamics of India, internal dynamics of Pakistan, the diplomatic front, and obviously, all important, the military front. So all in all, both at the strategic diplomatic front, it has been a major embarrassment, and that embarrassment, which was set in motion early May, continues to date, and hence the various statements of global leaders, in particularly the US president, much to the charging of Indian community within India and across, and India as a nation. And on the contrary, Pakistan emerging as a responsible, as a confident nation, both in the regional context, whether that is our Pakistan-Iran relations, Pakistan-China relations, and at the global stage with the global power, the US, the Russia, and China, of course. The current scenario, or the most recent episode of what happened in Indian Parliament, basically it was an attempt by Modi to regain some of the space which he has lost internally. So this was all meant with the intention to regain a political space but as they say, that truth shall prevail and white lies have no grounding. So truly, the Indian government was embarrassed within the parliament by the opposition leader Rahul Gandhi, and they had to cut a sorry face, and that's why their age-old tactics of leveling baseless allegations against Pakistan and trying to build a narrative which is totally farcical and totally unproductive and does not augur well for peace in subcontinent and in South Asia.
Admiral Hisham, so main point before Indian opposition was that Indian government is hiding facts. And if we look into the statements of US President Donald Trump, since that conflict today, Till to date, it is 27th time that US President has spoken about India-Pakistan conflict, including one of the statement in which US President confirmed that 5 fighter jets were lost in India-Pakistan fight. And he kept on saying that it was due to American mediation and intervention that India and Pakistan agreed to ceasefire. But India is on a denying mode. And it is not still admitting that its fighter jets were lost due to a prompt, swift action by Pakistan Air Force. What is the reason why Indian Prime Minister or the government is hiding the facts about this war at a time when these facts are already open before the world?
As I said, the prior to 7th May or 6th May, Indian government and India as a nation had touted themselves as the net security provider within this context, and emboldened by their strategic relation both with Russia and relevance with the U.S. administration of Joe Biden, and continued relevance with the current administration. They were of the view that they can get away and touting their technological edge over Pakistan and their numerical superiority in the conventional realm, but they were brought to their knees in a matter of hours, if not matter of minutes.
And despite highest defense technology with them, exactly.
Absolutely. The much, as I said, touted Air Force with Rafales and Su-31s and the best technology the West has to offer and the Russia has to offer at their disposal. So they miscalculated the resolve of Pakistan, the technological and technical and tactical and brilliance of Pakistani armed forces, in particular Pakistan Air Force. So not only they ended up losing right at the onset of the operation 6 of their fighter jets. So this, I think it needs no further discussion, as not only whole of India, inside India, and whole of the world knows that they ended up losing not only Rafale, but the Su-31 and also one of their combat drones as well in the exchange between. And that with a 6-0 score, nothing could be more embarrassing. What also embarrassed India more was also the absolute pack of lies and false narrative which the Indian put forward, to the extent of capturing Lahore and Karachi and destroying
and killing and allegedly killing important targets. Exactly.
So that's right. So this has been an abject and total failure of India militarily. Not only they lost aircraft, they also ended up losing S-400 batteries. They also, in the exchange of fire against LOC, they ended up losing their posts and a number of casualties. And Pakistan was very careful and responsible in targeting only the Indian armed forces, whereas they could have targeted others. On the contrary, India's moral position of having targeted civilians, innocent civilians, against in the garb of targeting terrorists, so-called terrorists within Pakistan. But one point I would like to make, but a dangerous precedent has been set where the missile warfare took a center stage between the two adversaries, between two nuclear armed states. This has set a very, very dangerous trend. But militarily speaking, I think there has been a total and utter defeat of the Indian armed forces, which were branded as one of the best in the world. So they didn't count on that. The second issue, which I briefly touched upon, and you know it more than I do, is the narrative war.
Exactly. It was war of narratives. Exactly.
War of narratives, which was built on total false alibis and total falsehood and misinforming the Indian public and population at large, and creating a narrative which fell on its feet in no time. Thankfully, our media played an active and a very, very responsible role, and they were able to not only counter but project Pakistan's narrative, which was based on facts and factual situation. The third thing which I said was about the diplomatic fact. Mm-hmm. This is a well-known fact that all the mediators, whether that was US or some of the Gulf states are friendly, and even China, all had one request to Pakistan, that India wants an immediate ceasefire. And Pakistan responsibly, after having meted out the treatment which the Indians deserved on the 10th of May, immediately agreed to the mediators' request, and also agreed to hold ceasefire, because we did not want wars to escalate, because in our opinion, it is best to solve all issues through negotiation and under the international law, whether that is issue of Kashmir or any other issue. So post 10th May, you have seen that one after the other, Pakistan was elected diplomatically
exactly. President of the Security Council.
President of Security Council. India in stance on Indus Water Treaty, also flat. And the net security provider and their strategic relation between US and India stands at a crossroad, in my opinion. And it is the utter embarrassment and utter disappointment of military failure, of diplomatic failure, of media war that has pushed the fascist Modi regime and its and their lackeys, whether it is the Home Minister or the Defense Minister or the National Security Advisor. This courtier has based their narrative on falsehood, and which they are now trying to salvage their political situation within India.
Ambassador Isham Saab, Pakistan and United States in the aftermath of 10th of May, India-Pakistan conflict. And as you said, it was war of narrative. Indian false narrative was exposed before international community. And as you also mentioned, it was success of Pakistan's diplomacy. But precisely over the last 2 months, there have been two very high-level contacts between Pakistan and United States. Field Marshal Asim Munir, Chief of Army Staff of Pakistan Army, along with National Security Advisor of Pakistan, Lieutenant General Asim Malik, held direct meeting with the US President at the Cabinet Room. And that was followed by this July 25 meeting by Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar with Secretary Rubio. How you see these growing contacts between Pakistan and United States, where Pakistan strongly, effectively presented its narrative on India-Pakistan issues and India-Pakistan conflict. And there have been very, very supportive statements from American side on Pakistan's narrative, on Pakistan's position.
We need to understand that in this multipolar world, where new power centers like China, EU, and others are emerging or taking political space, the US still continues to be the most important power centers in the world. So for Pakistan, we need, it's about policy to have friendly relationships with all our neighbors and all our countries across the world, and particularly so the nations or the countries which have strategic significance. Pakistan-US relations are extremely important, and I think the recent developments in vis-a-vis Pakistan-US relations, whether that was our first ever visit to White House by a sitting Chief of Army Staff, the Deputy Minister's visit, or or the visit by Trump and Rubio, which we are expecting soon, perhaps, I think these are welcome developments. We have our strategic interests vis-a-vis America. America remains one of our leading trade partners. We have a commonality of interest on countering terrorism. We have commonality of interest in pursuing our agenda vis-a-vis Kashmir and a number of other issues, both at the multilateral forums and also bilaterally with the US, which can influence India as it did to bring the ceasefire in Operation Sindoor, and also a number of other issues. Pakistan diplomacy can be very proud of their achievements for the past 2-3 months. We have almost settled the tariff issue. We are nearing settling, while
a deal is expected soon. Exactly, a deal is expected soon.
So all in all, it's a welcome development. We understand where our strategic alignment is with respect to other important nations in the world. So, as I say, that diplomacy is not a question of either or. It is a question of maximizing your options and also taking our friends who may have divergent interests on certain issues to taking them along. So without antagonizing any other nation, we continue to pursue our bilateral relation with our trusted partners, whether it is China or Saudi Arabia, in our new opportunity vis-a-vis Iran. So therefore, I think the kudos to the diplomatic people who have been involved, whether it is the established part of the establishment or Foreign Office or other ministers who have a cropped up a relation between Pakistan and US, which is multifaceted, and hopefully it will not be transactional, as has been the case in the past. So it's a welcome development, and I think Pakistan's stature as a responsible nation has catapulted post May episode with India, whereas India continues to struggle to retain its place with the US and especially in the region.
So finally, do you think that with this all strategic partnership, positive trajectory of Pak-US relations, America is expected to exert pressure on India? This was basically bottom line since America intervened and brought ceasefire. And do you think in the days to come, America is likely to build more pressure on India to sit down with Pakistan, talk about water, Kashmir, counter-terrorism, and in these all, which initially India agreed before America that it will sit down?
The frank answer is I don't think so. Because in this chaotic world, in this world which is volatile, every country has to fend for itself. It has to fend for itself eventually. It has to rely on its trusted partners. Whereas US has influence over India and many other countries of the world. But I think when it comes to core issues of resolving Kashmir issue, there can be some interventions by the US. But at the end of the day, I think the solution lies in the UN Security Council resolutions, which Pakistan firm stance is that it is not a question of, it is an unfinished agenda where the rights of Kashmiri people to choose their based on their free will or a plebiscite. So as far as that is concerned, I think in terms of counterterrorism efforts, I think US can play a greater role, not only helping us with relevant information, with relevant systems to counter modern systems to counter That's one area we can. Thankfully, the trade between Pakistan and agreement is about to reach. And I think the social and other cultural exchanges should continue because U.S. continues to occupy a premier space as far as the global affairs are concerned. But having said that, we understand our grand strategic relation with China, with Saudi Arabia, with Turkey, and other friends within the region and beyond. As I said, our relations will not be at the cost of relations with other countries. And I think Pakistan has pursued a policy which is very balanced, and I think it augurs well for our economic development, which we so badly need. Finally, I think the strategic opportunity that has emerged post Operation Sindoor and Bunyan Marsus, I think we need to look inward and develop economically, also bring peace and stability, attract foreign direct investment within our country so that the life of common people within Pakistan can be bettered in a short time frame.
Admiral Ambassador Shamsab, you rightly said that India suffered diplomatic embarrassment, military embarrassment, political embarrassment. We have just talked that Modi government lost the confidence of the parliament. The Indian people within India, there have been dissenting voices. There is another important diplomatic embarrassment. US President Donald Trump, couple of days back, wrote a letter to Sikh separatist movement that is called Khalistan movement, top leader Garbhatwan Singh Pannu in New York. And that was one of the amazing that the sitting US president writes letter to Mr. Pannu, assuring him that America will ensure his security. How you see a letter written by American president to Sikh leader with whom, and this was particularly that particular leader, India made a plot to assassinate him on American soil.
Absolutely. As I said, we have to see Indian actions and Indian policy pre-May event. And that was that the Modi government can get away with murder not only within
anywhere in the world,
India,
exactly,
but also in Canada, US, and they've been at it within Pakistan as well, where they have abetted terrorism, they have abetted a number of other criminal gangs operating within Pakistan, and it is a well-established fact that what is happening perhaps in Balochistan and other areas has
India
been exactly termed as Fitnatul Khawarij and Fitnatul Hindustan. So that was the case. And now, post-May event, here is a US president which not only exposes Indian design and espionage activity within the US, but also has the moral courage to side with the right. There are a number of separatist movements within India, not only in the Northeast, particularly our friends across Punjab, the Sikh community, which is, I must say, a very vibrant and a very active community all over the world, who have been wanting independence from the clutches of the Hindu fascist regime that have ruled India for the past 75 years. And I think this is a welcome development and a very, as you said, embarrassment for the sitting Indian government to confront a situation where the US president, the sitting US president, writes a letter to a Sikh leader. And as I said, this is based on principles and a moral, courageous action by the US government to side with what is right and against the fascist and the murderous regime of Modi.
So we are in the last segment of the program, keeping in view massive domestic Indian political pressure from all segments of Indian society and international pressure you have seen and effective Pakistan's diplomacy and narrative projection against the Indian false narrative. Do you think that in the days to come, there will be a time that India will finally admit that it lost its fighter jets and it has met definitely with failures on diplomatic, military, air force, and on security fronts with Pakistan?
Absolutely. I think nothing succeeds like success. I think we should move on from the facts which have already been well known and well established. We cannot hide behind the white lies the Indian government, which continues to churn out for its domestic consumption. I think it will neither succeed within India nor all over the world to the claims which are absolutely false, which are based on whimsical and fascist agenda that the Hindutva regime continues to pursue. I think the Modi government will have to pay the price, political price, internally and externally for their follies which they have committed in challenging Pakistan and undermining Pakistan's resolute response and undermining Pakistan's conventional capability and other capabilities on the diplomatic front. So, in essence, India has been cut to size, and the reality check has been meted out to the Indians that the shining India, which the Hindutva regime so proudly touted for so many years, has come to a naught. And I think, barring the communal extremist agenda which the Hindutva government has, I think the Modi government stands to pay for its defeat militarily, diplomatically, and on the narrative. The international embarrassment is there for them to see. Whether they admit it or they don't, it doesn't really matter, because the action or the have proven that Pakistan's stature as a nation has catapulted regionally and internationally. And I think it would be a sin for the Indian government, whether this government remains or somebody else comes in, to come back to the negotiating table for the betterment of the over 1 billion people, nearly 2 billion people of South Asia.
Thank you so much. Last one sentence. In the aftermath of 10th May, one sentence, as you said, India used to be proud of the fact that it was security provider. Who is the new security boss in South Asia? Do you think India is still?
I don't think so. I think in my reckoning, the security challenge of the modern era of 21st century requires cooperation and collaboration. No nation alone has the ability to ensure security in terms of multifarious and transnational threats, which the global community, whether it is terrorism, the cyber attacks, and the new forms of warfare that have emerged, where non-state actors have a vital role to play in future warfare. The intelligence operatives go within the. So I think the way to go to ensure global security is to have a military balance, which ensures that neither side has the urge to use military instrument for advancing their political agenda. So in terms of military balance and also cooperation on transnational threats that the global community faces, I think collaboration is the way to go.
Thank you so much indeed, Admiral Hashman bin Saddique Saab, for sparing time and speaking about storm in Indian Parliament over Operation Sindoor and conflict with Pakistan. And Indian opposition castigated Indian government for not sharing facts and taking Parliament to confidence. Dear viewer, till our next program, goodbye and Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you. Thank you. Khuda Hafiz.